Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rugrada Mayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakambidhamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Namamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Churvascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nasta Preshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Shevaya Bhagavad Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Today is Thursday, May 30th, is it? Already? Yes. 2024. So today I'm going to speak about Sadhu Sanga, the big Memorial Day weekend Kirtan event that took place in Frisco, Texas, that we just returned from. Kirtaneshwar and Omar and Darnell were also there. And I also saw Rajesh and Sweta from Phoenix.
And Bala was there also.
Yeah, Bala Gopinath. I saw them at the Dallas Temple. Their flight had got canceled. They were stuck for 2 extra days in Dallas. There was some weather. We'll discuss the weather. That was the weather was after the sun. So it was a wonderful event. According to Intradumna Swami, who is the founder, host, organizer, and visionary for the Sadhu Sangha Mela. Mela is a word that means like fair or festival. So for example, you have in India the Kumbh Mela, which is very famous. The Kumbh Mela is the largest gathering of human beings in one place on earth for a festival. And that takes place every 12 years. And then they have an Ardha Kumbh Mela that's every 6 years, and then they have regular Kumbh Mela every year there, but much smaller. But the big Kumbh Mela is every 12 years. Prabhupada went to the Kumbh Mela in 1971, I believe it was. 71, 72, something like that. 72. And then they have the Ardha Kumbh Mela, which is every 6 years in between. Anyway, this word Mela means, Prabhupada translates as a fair or a festival. So the Sadhu Sangha is a big Kirtan Mela, specifically for the chanting of the holy names. But it is also interesting because it is a great gathering of devotees. And I had taken some photos of the Prashad line Friday night, and there's all, you see this huge hall filled with devotees in these long sneaking lines, all eager for prasadam. And I sent that to Sindhamani, I sent it to Jamuna in India too. She said, oh, it's more crowded than Mayapur. So many devotees. So the venue was the, what was the name of that hotel? Anyway, some big hotel. And then they had this place called the Frisco Conference Center. It's a giant hall, and it was divided in half. They have these giant sliding dividers that when they're just divided in half, you didn't know it was two different rooms, but it was the hall for the kirtan was huge, and the hall for the prasad room was huge. So if you had that whole place open, it would be like bigger than a convention center floor. It was massive. And there are many devotees, of course, many devotees with Indian bodies. Somebody was saying 85% Indian. The rest are fair-skinned devotees, for the most part. And many Prabhupada disciples were there. Some of whom I've known for decades and haven't seen in a long time. They were there. And of course the sannyasis who were in attendance were Indradumna Swami, Radhanath Swami, Chandramali Swami, and Dhanavir Goswami was there, who I hadn't seen in quite some time. He had an interesting thing. He was wearing this little headset microphone. I guess it's Bluetooth, and his servant has a little amplifier, because he speaks in a very quiet voice, so he speaks in the microphone, and it comes out of the amplifier that his servant is carrying.
Bhakti Sundar Maharaj.
Bhakti Sundar Maharaj there, I saw him.
That Indian sannyasi that no one got his name.
Yeah, and I actually greeted Bhakti Sundar Maharaj in Spanish. And, but I've known him for a while. And he asked me, todo bien, which means, is everything all right? And then Vaisheshika Prabhu was there, and along with kirtan luminaries like Madhava Prabhu and Madhahari Prabhu and Achyuta Gopi from New York. She was there. She's very good. That's the first time I've seen her live. And Sri Prahlad and Gauravani. And that was the reason I went, because I was playing guitar in Gauravani's band. More on that later. So it was quite a gathering of the stars. And, Indradumna Swami is just a completely empowered preacher and elevated Vaishnava. Of this, there is no doubt. And I saw him a couple of times. Outside the conference hall, it was a curved shape, and there was this big long hallway. It was like the congregating hallway where you could see anybody and everybody at various times. And people were conversing and hanging out and waiting to go in. So it was like this giant long red carpet about that wide that ran all the way. It was several red carpets put together that ran all the way around the place. It was kind of a neat setup.
Almost killed a few people though.
Yeah.
There was a lady that got taken on a stretcher. So I heard.
There was one Indian lady there with her dog. I was sort of surprised to see that. She didn't seem to mind. That was fun. That was the only dog I saw. So Indradumna Swami, I saw him a couple of times outside the venue. Out in the hallway area, the corridor, and he was always surrounded by a big group of devotees, like, rock star kind of thing. And he has this security guard who's about 6'8". It's this big, huge, tall fellow. Looks like a basketball player from Lithuania or something.
Oh, that guy's a security guard.
It's his personal bodyguard. And so So he was with him, and I was talking to someone, and there was a group over there, and then we got ready to go. All of a sudden, all the group who were all mostly younger people, they all backed up to give way, and they backed right into me. I said, "Oh, take it easy." There's the rules, like when driving, always look where you're going when you put it in reverse. Otherwise, you run into something, run over something. In that case, something was this body. So, I didn't want to approach him when he has so many people. But at one point, I was talking to Yogendra Vandana from New Taliban, where they have just built a new temple, and we were talking about building temples. And he was telling me his experience, what he went through. Very interesting. I'll come back to that. And Indraduma Maharaj was walking by, and I just turned and said to him as he was coming up, I said, "Oh, Maharaj, such a wonderful festival you've organized and such beautiful kirtan you led." And then he slapped me on the shoulder, just like, was that James Taylor song? And just like a friend of mine hit me from behind. I'm going to Carolina in my mind. He was kind of like that, friendly mood. And he slapped me on the shoulder. That was the one that was broken. It's healed now. That was no problem. When it was broken, somebody hit me on the shoulder. I said, other shoulder, please. And when he slapped me on the shoulder, I said, "Oh, Maharaj, can you do me a favor?" He said, "What?" I said, "Can you slap me on the other shoulder?" Felt like I was getting the touch of Shakti. There was an associate of Nityananda Prabhu named Nikhaitana Ram, and he had a whip, and he would whip devotees. He hit him with his whip, and they'd go into ecstasy. So anyway, he slapped me on the shoulder and felt ecstasy. And I asked him to slap me on the other shoulder, but he was already half of it. But he looked back at me and gave a little chuckle. And then later, I was in the kirtan hall, and Vaisheshika Prabhu was there, and I just said hardball to him, and then he slapped me on the shoulder. So I got 2 slaps on the shoulder, the same shoulder, from elevated Vaishnavas, and I considered myself quite fortunate, because I was not trying to, put myself into some situation with them or something like that, when I saw them in passing. And then also Jananivas from Mayapur, the very famous Pujari of Mayapur, who for many years never left Mayapur, was there with Lord Nityananda's padukas, his lotus feet, his sandals, and he had a crown, which was giving everyone benediction with the crown. And our good friend Sananda was there with him, and Braj Vilas. They're all part of the TOVP team. And he's traveling around. He's going to be in the US and Canada until like September. And he's going all different temples. He must be 80 years old. He's quite elderly. And so I got a blessing from him, and I told him that in Tucson we also have Radha Madhava and Lord Nishinga. Although ours, Nishinga is Yoga Nishinga, and in Mayapur it's Ugra Nishinga. And our Nishinga is post Hiranyakashipu. He's already done that, killed him inside, in a peaceful mood there. The different moods of Lord Nishinga Deva. So that's called Ugra Nishinga, when he's in the killing mood, and then in Yoga Nishinga when he's in the peaceful mood. So I got the mercy from Jananivas, and he was blessing everyone. He said, may Lord Nishinga protect you in your devotional service. That was very nice. And I got to spend a little time also with Sinanda, who's sort of the American member of the TOVP team. And I've known him since my very beginning days in Krishna consciousness, and we've both been great friends, and he's wonderful. Sinanda, who also sings very wonderfully. He's also a guitar player, really good guitar player. And in the old days on the Radha Damodar bus, they used to call him Old Golden-Throated One. There's mellifluous and beautiful kirtans. But he wasn't singing at the event. He was working the TOVP booth. They had a bunch of tables set up on either side. near the lobby in that corridor with booths on either side, like Maheshwar with all his Jagannath umbrellas and things like that. He's there. And Adikarta was there selling books. And there were other devotees doing other things. Apurva's wife Kamalini was there distributing books at that booth. There were many devotees doing many things. At one point I was walking through the lobby going somewhere, and a little girl came with me. She must have been 11 years old. And she had a book by some devotee. I don't know if it was her father or somebody. She was selling these books, and she hit me up just like you'd approach somebody in the street or in the mall or at the airport or whatever. Somebody's walking by and you stop them. She stopped me with this book. I don't know, some book about like, you know, how to, like a self-help kind of book or something that some devotee had written. And I thanked her but said I wasn't going to take it. And then she asked me for a donation. And I said, this girl has set out on the path of Krishna consciousness for sure. Very early. She was fearless and she was expert. And I was impressed, but I didn't have any wallet or anything on me. I was wallet free the whole time. So that happened. That was very nice. So Indraduma Swami led a very nice kirtan with his entourage. You know, every kirtan leader has like their associates. And Chadaratma is up there the whole time with Indraduma Swami or Radhanath Swami or with Madhava. And he's doing different things. He's such a character. And a lot of times he's standing up and making all the gestures and getting the crowd into it. And in Gauravani's band we had Kishore Krishna, who everybody calls Kish, plays the flute and the mridanga. And actually he wasn't singing, but Kish is an excellent singer. Really fantastic, one of the best I've heard, although not advertised as such or famous for that. He's famous for playing the whoppers, and he plays with great alacrity and enthusiasm. And so he would, when he was playing the mridanga, then he would go to the edge of the stage and go, and then get the whole crowd to clap, and then he would go like this, and everyone would put their hands like that. So he was like the conductor of the arms, you know, clapping, arms in the air, swaying like that. He was expert at controlling the crowd. And of course the crowd in the kirtan, you look out in the crowd, it's huge. They had the men on one side and the ladies on the other side. I think the ladies' side, they call it the Radha side, the feminine side. You know, you have Krishna and Radha. Krishna is the supreme male and Radha is his feminine counterpart. So they call it the Radha side. And so on the sides you would have a group, both on the men's and ladies' side, who would be dancing back and forth kind of towards the side of the stage, and they had their own area. And in the middle, there were so many people, they would crowd up to the middle. When we were on the stage, there was this one girl I couldn't believe, and she looked like kind of like she wasn't 100% there. And she had this deity of Krishna on a little, like a little throne, like a little brass throne. Kind of like, well, we like one of those little brass throne, and she was holding it like this the whole time, facing outward. Like, look at me, I got Krishna. It was very funny. And I don't know, she looked like she was not all there. But it was pretty funny. Imagine her arm must have got tired, you know, holding like this the whole time. And right on the edge of the stage, you know, got her spot, and she was on the edge of the stage every day. At one point, there was a kirtan group on the stage, and everyone was standing up. I was in the back of the room, and you couldn't see the kirtan party on the stage because everyone was seated on the stage. Although the stage was pretty high, you know, chest level, like 4 foot. And the only person you could see on the stage was Purushartha, who's in the back playing bass, and he's sitting on a chair. So all you could see was Purushartha's head and his bass, and then the rest was just the crowd. So, and the devotees in the crowd were extremely enthusiastic during all the kirtans. extremely enthusiastic. I took one picture, I went up on the edge of the stage, took a couple pictures of the crowd, and if you pinch the picture up and close in, you can see Kirtaneshwar there in ecstasy. He's easy to spot because he's in saffron, and there were some people in saffron, but not all of them. Not a whole lot, there were a few. And he was prominent for being in saffron and being in ecstasy, if I'm not mistaken. What did you say? You almost cried when Vaisheshika Prabhu was giving class, was that it?
No, it was kirtan. He was giving those talking kirtans.
Yeah.
And I did cry actually. He's so empowered, I just seen him being like that.
We were talking, yes, last night with Curtis and Caitlin. By the way, nice to see you this morning, Caitlin. You coming now regularly in the mornings?
I'm trying, because I have the vehicle right now.
Good. It's usually working repairs and such things.
Yeah.
Devotional service. Vaisheshika Prabhu is also a very empowered devotee, no doubt. I have that story. I was in LA Rath Yatra a few years ago, and I walked by the question and answer booth, and there was one devotee there, and he was like sitting down at a table and talking on the microphone, kind of just, kind of droning away. And there was like 3 or 4 people in the question and answer booth. And later I walked by, and Vaisheshika Prabhu was in the question and answer booth. And he was standing up, and he's a very big, powerful man. And he's very enthusiastic, and he's just imbued with Krishna Shakti. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tarvartana. That no one can spread Krishna consciousness without being empowered by Krishna. And he had the microphone, and his arm was in the air, and he was completely enthusiastic and enlightened, and the question and answer booth was packed. And every single person in there was, completely paying attention, and they were totally glued to Vaisheshika. So captivating, so powerful. So it's very wonderful to see devotees like that. Radha Swami led a very nice kirtan. I also took a photo that and sent to Sandamani, and she texted back, Radha Swami ki jai. So we all love Radha Swami, we all love Indrajuna Swami, and we all love Vaisheshika Prabhu. These are wonderful devotees. And of course, Madhava was closing every night with his kirtans, and they're always very powerful, moving kirtans. So that hotel was a big hotel with, I don't know how many floors. Yeah, 12, 14, 16. Oh, 14. Oh, you counted. Very good. It's good you pay attention. And then it was filled with devotees. They blocked out the hotel. It was all for the event. And there were other hotels in the neighborhood. You stayed at one of the other hotels. Oh, Hyatt Regency, that's the name of the hotel it was. That the event was at. Hyatt Regency and Frisco Conference Center. And they're connected. So, imagine accommodating 3,000 people. You gotta have a lot of hotel rooms. And then they give a special price, when you block out the whole hotel. So what were they charging for Sadhu Sanga? $285?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was at prices. Omar was helping me out, so I just paid my part.
Yeah. Yes, Omar sponsored you. So imagine, but there's a bunch of hotels around there. And so all these hotels were in advance blocked out, and then the rooms for the devotees. So it seemed like to me that's a pretty good deal, $285 for 3 nights in a hotel. The Hyatt Regency, normally one night in Hyatt Regency, $399. So you pay $285 for the whole weekend, you get prashad, and you go to kirtan. I mean, what could go wrong? That's very nice. And so people were walking from the other hotels, which were very close. The city of Frisco, 25 or 30 years ago, it was all cow fields, pastures, farmland. There was nothing there, nothing. Now it's this incredibly rich suburb of Dallas. I was hosted by a family because instead of paying for me to stay in a hotel, they just found somebody to let me stay there for free. So it didn't cost anything. An Indian family who are disciples of Radhanath Swami, Rasa Gopal Prabhu and his wife Sundari Lalita. Very nice South Indian devotees. He's a computer guy. He's been in Frisco about 10 years. Their house is huge. It's like 3,100 square feet. How big is the Krishna home?
About 3,000.
Yeah, this is like that, only it's one floor on top of the other. And they're a very nice host. They grow a lot of their own vegetables just in their backyard. They make some raised beds along the fence on the perimeter of their property. And they grow all kinds of stuff. One thing I had was really nice was this Malabar spinach. Malabar is a place, is a name for the South Indian coast. And there's a specific place called Malabar, famous for pepper and other things. But they had this Malabar spinach that they grew, and she put it in the dal. It was really wonderful. And every morning she would make, a green juice. She would juice like celery and carrots and that Malabar spinach, and that was my breakfast, was that juice. It was very nice, very healthy. I was glad to get that. And they're extremely nice. And she was a real sadhaka. She would get up every morning around 4:30 or so and chant her rounds. Because just like Sindana, we know we have to get up early and chant our rounds. Because once the day begins, there's too much going on. And so you have to have your rounds done early, or you may never get them done. Or you may be walking around, doing japa things. But she was up there early every morning chanting her japa and was obviously regulated. She said that. She said, I have to chant early because otherwise there's too much going on during the day, and she's got her kids to take care of. They had a daughter who's 7 years old named Brenda. And Brenda had a few months ago started taking harmonium and singing lessons online from a Mataji in Mayapur. And she would just do it over Zoom or something, on the cell phone there. And she was playing these melodies, the harmonium, and singing. And she was really good. She was extremely talented, especially for somebody who'd only been doing that a few months. She had the melodies down. She was playing the harmonium. She'd play the melody and sing the Maha Mantra. And it was really good. She's singing some other bhajans too. But I was very impressed. In India, if you're going to be a musician, you start very, very early in your musical training. Usually at age 4 or sometimes 5 if you're late. There was one European musician who was a pianist, a highly accomplished pianist, and he wanted also to play the violin, to learn to play the violin. He said, but it was too late. I was already 12. Just to give you an idea, the great ones start early. So they start the training very early, and they all learn how to sing, and they learn the rhythms along with whatever particular instrument they play. So everybody can sing and everybody can play a little tabla or some percussion, as well as whatever their main instrument is, whatever it may be. Just like in music school, everybody has to play piano, regardless of what instrument you're playing. And then when you graduate, you have to pass what they call the keyboard barriers. I never graduated, I never passed the keyboard barriers. But, you have to be a decent pianist to be able to, play a certain level of repertoire with a certain level of competence. Those are called keyboard barriers. So in India, it's the same thing, but less formal. It's the, singing and percussion barriers. You have to know all that. So usually you'll find any Indian instrumentals, they can also play like a pretty fair tabla. So this little girl, Brenda, she was a very nice girl. And instead of playing with dolls, she had set up, they had like an open room on the second floor, and she had made these altars like out of cardboard. Like you see sometimes kids do little school projects and they'll make a little cardboard box and they'll you know, some kind of art project or something. Well, she had Radha Krishna made out of, you know, in a cardboard box, cut out of cardboard. She had dressed them. And she also had Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and another one. And when she would talk, she was talking about, oh, what Radharani's wearing this and Krishna's wearing that. And I could appreciate that this little girl was going to be Pujari, for sure. So her childhood play was Radha Krishna, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and singing bhajan. This is very impressive. So, boy, I wish I had a childhood like that. So a very nice, very cultured family, very sweet, very sweet. It was a true pleasure. And they lived 10 minutes from the venue. Then I had my car so I could go back and forth. Everything. It was a really nice, comfortable place to stay. I mean, I would have liked to have a room in the hotel, but those rooms in the hotel are booked up. When they start the registration, like in January, all those rooms are gone within like 10 minutes. Because Sadhu Sanga is a big deal, and you want to go to room, so you have to book early. So you can just imagine all those devotees. They had a big stage, not a real big stage. They said it was smaller than last year. And then the devotee who does the sound, his name is Dvija, Polish devotee, and he's kind of famous for being a real character and not liking certain things in the mix, like bass and guitar. So we had played, and then I heard from Kirtaneshwar and others that you couldn't hear the guitar coming out of the mains. I could hear on stage because I had my speaker there. And so the next day when we played, I just turned it up really loud, and then everybody heard it. So whether it was coming out of the speakers, it didn't matter, because it just turned up that old volume knob, and okay, timidity and shyness is gone. Now it's time to turn it up and let everybody hear it. And then all kinds of people that surprised me said they really liked the, that overdrive distortion sound of the guitar playing lead. People that you would not expect, like Shesh's wife, Madhavati. She said, oh, I love that guitar, and that lead sound. And then Shesha himself said that also. They both really liked it. And they were rather, conservative Vaishnavas. There was actually some controversy because Gauravani's band consists of guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, flugelhorn. The keyboard player plays flugelhorn. He's really great. He's fantastic. Premananda, he's Indra Maharaj, is like musical director for the Polish tour. And he's also producer and director of the plays and the dramas they do over there in Poland. And there was they had hired a guy who was a friend of my friend, who's a jazz guitar player in Dallas, and his name was Donicio. And he was from a Mexican family. He told me that his name Donicio. I said, I've not heard that name. He said, it's kind of like Dionysus. It's the Spanish version of Dionysus. And he was very good, and he really became affected by the association of devotees. I mean, he was just hired to be a musician. But he became quite friendly with the devotees, and he loved the prasadam, and he just had an incredible experience. So this is not your traditional kirtan band: guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, horns. Gauravani plays harmonium and acoustic guitar, and then Kish was playing flute and mridanga. And then there's a Mataji named Mani Manjari, whom we've all seen in El Paso, singing both years, both festivals she was there. And she's like of Puerto Rican descent, a New Yorker. She's a New Yorker. And she's really fabulous. She can really sing amazingly well. And her husband, I got to know her this time, his name is Anupam. He's a really tall guy who's in the financial industry, Wall Street. And he also played, when Mahatma played in El Paso, he played the cajon and the mridanga. Cajon is a box, it's a Spanish rhythm, a Latin rhythm instrument. It's a box, and sit on top of it and play the side of it.
There's a little one up there, don't we?
No, we don't have a cajon here. So, he's a very funny guy. He told us a drummer joke. There's a band playing the singer, he can't remember the first word of the second verse. And they're playing the song, and he turns to the guitar player, what's the first word of that second verse? I don't know. Turns to the bass player, you remember? I don't know. He turned to the drummer, what's the first line of that second verse? And the drummer says, what song are we playing? He's already playing the song, he didn't even know what song he was playing, he's just a drummer. There's another drummer joke. What do you call a drummer who doesn't have a girlfriend? Homeless. So anyway, there's drummer jokes, bass player jokes. There's singer jokes, you know. The singer jokes are always about coming in late. You know, the singer's supposed to come in on the beat, you know, they always come in late. So anyway, there's all these musician jokes. So he told the drummer joke. And he's really nice. They're actually, I just heard they're moving to Alachua. So they're leaving Manhattan for Alachua. How about that? There's these movies like Escape from New York. These post-apocalyptic movies about the hellish life of New York, and you can't escape from the city, and it's all run by some big corporation, and violence and street gangs. Anyway, they're escaping New York. So the kirtans were fantastic. Really nice sound system. The room is kind of boomy because it's such a big hall. A lot of echo and boomy and washy. And then another thing they had, of course, the prasadam is worth mentioning. The chef of the prasadam is a local Dallas devotee named Dhirodatta. He's actually from Fiji. He's a truck driver. He's a long haul driver. And he wasn't there for Rathayatra because he was out on the road. But and last year also I know, was the chef, and he's a fantastic cook. Big guy, big tall guy, and just very talented cook. He's trained up all the Indian congregation members in the Dallas temple who to cook the Sunday feast there. They have a big Sunday feast with the Indians, and the restaurant is open simultaneously because they have room for that. They have a separate facility for the Sunday feast. And he's really expert at doing like all these different Asian tinged recipes. You know, like sweet and sour, stir-fried tofu, and Chinese noodles. What did they have that night? They had Chinese pakoras, he called them, and bok choy.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was the best prasadam of the whole trip.
Yeah, really good, really wonderful prasadam, and in such large quantity to feed 3,000 people. And he runs this big crew. They're mostly all Indians who are volunteering. And that's another wonderful thing about the Sadhu Sanga is the volunteer crew there. So they have the big prasadam hall, and then they have the VIP area, which is a little like restaurant area in one corner of the lobby facility there. And so that VIP suite, VIP area for dining is supposed to be for Prabhupada disciples and the kirtaniers. So then I was in there and I saw a big giant table with Jivananda Prabhu at the head and all the Tucson devotees there, like Atul Govinda and Krishna Jivana and Charlie and the El Paso devotees. And then they had taken over one area that was supposed to be like reserved for sannyasis.
Well, they told us to go there because we thought we were going to eat in there, but then they came and got us.
Yeah.
They said you could all come.
So I thought it was pretty neat. I took a picture and sent it to Sanam, and she said, "Well, how they get in the VIP area?" I saw this Prabhu's followers there. That was pretty good. It's a good picture. Captured a lot. And Krishna Jivana's son Charlie, Charlie, a really tall kid. Turns out he's a really good piano player. There was on the second floor, they have a piano that's like a Yamaha upright piano that's on wheels, so they can roll it into the different rooms, the conference rooms for using during different events. And I heard somebody playing away on the piano, and it was Charlie. He's pretty good. He's obviously taken lessons and learned quite a bit. And he's started to dip his toes into the waters of the harmonium. And he wants to become a sitar player.
He also plays guitar.
He plays guitar too.
Yeah, I've been showing him a little bit.
Yeah, talented fellow.
He had a real transformation. That was also cool to see.
Yeah, originally when Krishna Jiva told me they were planning to go to Sadhu Sanga, they said to Charlie, well, I mean, you can go if you want, but you probably won't want to go. And he goes, no, I want to go. I want to go to Sadhu Sanga. And he was in ecstasy the whole time. Every time I saw him, he was just fired up. So, who knows, he may become a future initiated devotee. There's always hope. So that was nice, and I kept seeing him over and over again. And you know, when Krishna Jivana got initiated here, that when they had the initiation, she got initiated, she was just like completely out of her mind, out of her body. She didn't know what was going on. I think she appeared to be in ecstasy. You know, the word ecstasy means, it's from the Latin, ex, stasis. So stasis means the body, and ex means out of the body. So ecstasy means an out of the body experience. That's the spirit soul, who's not this body. And she was so much in ecstasy, and she was like bewildered. And she was crying, and it seemed like, particularly with her, it was like someone who had experienced just giving up all their past karma, being initiated and being freed from all the reactions and the sins and the doubts. And she was in complete ecstasy, and I noted that she was in quite a state. And I said to her, you appear to be in total ecstasy. She goes, am I talking to you? Like, you know, who am I? Where am I? Am I here with you? Are we talking? It was very wonderful, actually. I could see how the living entity, after so many, you know, thousands of births and deaths, becomes initiated by a spiritual master, and they throw off their karma and their conditioning. It was so much like that. It was one of the most graphic experiences I've seen someone have like that. And then I saw her at Sadhu Sanga, and I said, so, did you come down from that ecstasy, or are you still in that ecstasy, or are you in that ecstasy again from being here in Sadhu Sanga? And she goes, yes. So, Krishna consciousness has become a very powerful force in her life, and that's wonderful to see. And that should be that way for everyone. We should all experience Krishna consciousness in such a way that our identification with this body is destroyed, and we don't think of ourselves in terms of this body and the karma of this body and where we're from and our family and all the temporary things that we identify with. Krishna consciousness is such an experience that we become ecstatic out of the body. Not concerned with the body, but only on the spiritual platform. And utilizing this body in such a way as to enhance further and further our Krishna consciousness by our Krishna conscious activities. Rupa Goswami explains this. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikalashvat vivastasu jivan muktasa uchite. That even while one is in this body, if he considers himself and acts as Iha yasya harer dasye. Harer dasye means the servant of God, Haridas. If one becomes the servant of God, then karma na manasogita. If all one's karma, one's work, and one's mind, and one's gita, one's speech, is devoted to the service of Krishna, then jivan mukta sa uchite. Such a person is liberated even while in this material world. Jivan mukta. One becomes a liberated jiva, a liberated devotee. Uchite, that person is known or is said to be liberated, even while in this material world, as long as they're using their body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. And of course, that is our process of Krishna consciousness, to, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi Yad Jahosi Tapasya, Tat Tapasya, what is it? What's the third line? No, that's the last line. What's the third line? Yat Tapasya Sikonteya. That's it. Tat Kurusha Malarpanam. So, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, whatever yat tapasyasya, whatever tapas, whatever austerities you perform, tat karusha madarpanam, madarpanam, offer that to me, do that as an offering to me. So that is the life of Krishna consciousness. Whatever you do it for Krishna. Not that you do some nonsense and say, oh yeah, that's for Krishna. No, but you act in a favorable way to serve Krishna. That is our process of Krishna consciousness. You chant Hare Krishna, you hear Hare Krishna, you associate with devotees. And Sadhu Sanga means the association of devotees. Sadhu means devotee, or saintly person. Sangha means association. Like Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Shastri Koi Bhavamata, Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That Sadhu Sanga, association with devotees is the perfection of life. Sarva Shastri Koi, that is the verge of all the Shastras, of all the scriptures. And Lavamatra, Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Lavamatra is a measurement of time that translates to 1/11th of a second. If one gets the association of an elevated Vaishnava, Lavamatra Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Siddhi Hoy, then Sarva Siddhi, Sarva means all, Siddhi means perfection. All perfection is achieved by even that 1/11th of a second moment of association with a devotee. So that is the whole concept of the Sadhu Sangha, is that all the devotees are coming together to hear about Krishna, to serve Krishna, to chant Hare Krishna, and associate with one another on that spiritual platform. And that's why it's so wonderful. I was going to mention about the VIP area. They had these Indian ladies that were acting as the hostesses for the VIP area. They would, the boys would go through like a buffet line and then sit down. They would come, do you want water? Can I take your tray? And they were just flittering about very attentively, taking care of the devotees. One of them is a Mataji from Alasha named Premanjali. Her husband is named Dr. Radhike. She's an internal medicine specialist. Built a big mansion, bought some property from our friend Malini, the astrologer. It's across, Malini has a pond, and across the pond is Dr. Radhike's house. And they have 3 daughters I haven't seen in a long time. They told me the oldest one was 23, and I was like shocked. They were all like little girls. And this Premanjali Mataji, she's very short, very petite, and then she's got like this huge smile. She looks like she's always in bliss, and she's always smiling. She's like the happiest person I've ever met in my life. She's so happy. And she's serving everyone, and she's just in this very happy mood. She's in ecstasy too, serving all the devotees, but she's always like that. You see her, she's always smiling. You never see her like frowning or serious. I mean, she's always just in bliss. It's amazing. And then there was another lady, I can't remember her name. I talked to her. She was a young Indian lady from Austin, and she'd gone to school at Texas A&M University. That's agricultural and mechanical A&M. And so I said, oh, you're an Aggie, because that's what they call them. The football team's called the Aggies, and if you go there, you're an Aggie. Just like if you went to UF, you're a Gator. So you go to A&M, you're an Aggie. And so she didn't look like an Aggie, but she was extremely focused and attentive on serving the devotees. She didn't have the big smile on her face like Premanjali. She was like totally into it, like it was you know, her life depended on pleasing and satisfying the devotees. It was just very amazing. And there were so many volunteers, all these Indian people who were volunteering, all in the kitchen, you know, more than 100. Just an amazing spirit of cooperation and service. Of course, Sudhamani pointed out, yeah, they don't live in the temple, so this is their like chance to do some service. But we have to be like that every day, every moment. That's the difference in the temple life. You know, we're anxious and eager and focused and trying to serve Krishna at every moment. You know, it's not that anything we go home, you know, have a big house in the suburbs or something. You know. Most of us don't have a big house in the suburbs. Do you have a big house in the suburbs, Todd?
Not yet.
Not yet. Working on it. We'll crank out a few million more portraits and caricatures. So the experience was so wonderful that I'm only like giving you one drop, one taste of what it was like to be there. And it's something that everyone should. I'd never been to Sadhu Sanga before. They've been having it for years, but I was always working on Memorial Day weekend. And previously I was selling jewelry at outdoor shows, and that was always a big weekend. So I never could go. And then one Memorial Day weekend in 2017, what happened right here in Tucson? On Memorial Day. Happy anniversary, honey. Got married on Mondays, cause what? The restaurant. Usually marriages are on Saturday. No, it's restaurant day. Monday, and it was hot, so we got married what time? 8 o'clock in the morning. And what was the feast for the wedding?
Breakfast.
Was breakfast. Although it was extra special. So anyway, that's the practical life of, you know, service to Krishna first.
Utility is the principle. Right?
That's right. Service to Krishna first, and you squeeze in the rest whenever and wherever you can. But always trying to please Prabhupada and Krishna. So that's my summary of just a little bit about the experience of Sadhu Sanga. Oh yeah, Frisco, Texas. There are so many Indians there. Giant houses, Indians, computer programmers, high-tech people. And this devotee I stayed with, he's on this committee. They're about to close on a 7.3 piece of property in Frisco. Frisco is a very expensive place, very rich place. There's no homeless people on the street in Frisco, not a single one. And they're going to build a temple there. They're going to call it the Gita Mandir, Krishna Arjuna Temple. And they have the money to do it. They're all very highly successful, well-paid professionals. And there's a lot of, and they're all right there in Frisco. So they have a big bhakti rickshaw group. So that's nice that they plan to do that. All right, so we'll stop here. Time for breakfast. And thank you all for coming. The only person we missed was Melissa, who used to show up on Thursday, right? That's okay, Caitlin came, so she. All right.
Ratavar Swami and Giriraj Swami were there also.
Yeah, Ratavar Swami, that's right, who I spoke with. And Giriraj Maharaj, whom I spoke with, he was sitting in the corner of the stage. He said, we were setting up, I said, Maharaj, it's going to get very loud up here. And he goes, I have my earplugs. I said, you will need them. And then about a minute after we started, he left. It was too loud.
And he didn't look like he felt very good.
Yeah, he was